Go for it, go for it. I'm just saying I'm not finished yet. Search for it, swing for it. Discover the me that lives in yes. Stand for it, stretch for it. It's my time, imagine my best. Run for it, reach for it. Uncover the me that lives in yes. I know, yes I know. There'll be miracles wherever I go. It's not work, it's play. I can make magic today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Senior Nation. I'm your host, Phyllis Ayman, and you are listening to the Source TV Radio Network, WTSN Washington, D.C. We are indeed a senior nation with 100 plus million adults over the age of 50. And we are here to bring you up-to-date information about successful aging, healthful longevity, and becoming what I call a well-ager, to dignity, respect, quality of life, and quality of care for our parents, our grandparents, and loved ones. We at Senior Nation will be your trusted voice for informed choices, meaningful conversations, and a vibrant life at every age. Though the Source TV Radio Network is known for its dedication to bringing the highest level of jazz content to the viewing and listening audience, the owners of the network are also dedicated to bringing this important content to this fast-growing demographic, and I'm always grateful to have this opportunity. So let's begin with tonight's show. Tonight's guest on Senior Nation is Loida Lewis, an incredible woman, visionary, and entrepreneur. Her accomplishments are nothing short of extraordinary. Loida was the first Filipino woman with a law degree outside of the United States to pass the New York bar. Her unique upbringing in the Philippines gave her the strength to rise to any challenge that was put in her way, which included the power and fortitude to rise from the pain of the loss of her husband at an early age to become CEO of Beatrice Foods, taking the business to extraordinary heights. A visionary who is now in her 80s, Loida remains a champion for empowering women. Her inspiring story is one of resilience, vision, legacy, and remaining vital at every age. So I'm so pleased to have Loida here with me this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to the Senior Nation.
Oh, thank you so much for making the time. I know you're in your 80s, you remain a busy woman, but I really think that your accomplishments, you know, your journey throughout the years is so important for people to hear. And you know, I want to start with, you know, this situation where you were educated in the Philippines, right? Your law degree is from there, and how you came to become the first Filipino woman to pass the New York bar with a degree that was outside of the United States. I mean, I just think it's fascinating. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I was born in the Philippines and I grew up in the Philippines. And my father could not become a lawyer because he didn't have the resources. So when I became a lawyer at the University of the Philippines College of Law, I passed the bar, and Mr. Lewis, my father, sent me on a round-the-world trip. Needless to say, I fell in love, married Reginald Lewis, and we lived together. He was a lawyer. But at that time, the United States Supreme Court in 1973 ruled or decided that citizenship should not be a qualification or a requirement to take the bar. Before 1973, only an American citizen can take the bar. But by that time, I was still Filipina, and my law degree at the University of Philippines College of Law is considered by the New York Bar Association equal to an American education. Why? Because the Philippines was a colony of the United States starting 2002. And
Oh,
until we received our independence in 1945, our laws in the law school were copied after American laws, constitutional law,
wow.
labor law, insurance law, administrative law, all of that except trust and estates. And so UP, College of Law, was considered equal to an American university. And so when citizenship is no longer a requirement, I applied to take the bar. I had to pass it, and I passed it the first time.
And that doesn't surprise me, I have to say. But because as I was saying before the show, I've worked with a lot of people from the Philippines, both males and females in the medical care space. A lot of nurses come here, also physical therapists, but mostly nurses. And I know the discipline and the diligence that they have in terms of education. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But so yeah, that is quite a story. So my question though is, since the coursework was based on the U.S. Constitution and the laws of the United States, but were the courses taught in English or in Tagalog, which is the language of the Philippines?
Well, ever since we had the Philippine Revolution in 1898, and we won it, but by that time, United States of America was flexing its power. It's the only country, first world, that did not have any colony. And since there was the Spanish-American War, America, Admiral Dewey, came in 1898 and defeated the Spanish crown. And there was a Paris treaty where for $20 million, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States. So we are the only colony that was bought by the United States for $20 million. And from that time on, up to when the U.S. Congress allowed us to have, all right, you're an independent nation now. Around 50 years, we were an American colony. So from that time on, from speaking Spanish, and 2002, we were taught English. In 2006, there was a whole shipload of American teachers that came to the Philippines, and they, separate from the Spanish colonial masters, America was very liberal. Instead of limiting education to just the upper class, these 1,000 Thomasites, because they were in U.S. Thomas, the name of the ship, they spread all over the United States and started teaching us in English.
Oh, so it's
50 years we were under the American rule.
So interesting, because that part of the story I didn't know, but I did know the Spanish part of the story. And the reason I'm so familiar with that part of the story, because as I said, I've worked with a lot of people from the Philippines, that a lot of the names are Spanish names. They're even some of the words sound like they come from the Spanish language. Some of them have a lot of similarities. So I knew that part of it. I didn't know this part of the story, which I think is fascinating. That's really incredible. So you came here.
Phyllis, the historian always says, for 350 years, we were in a Spanish convent. And then in 50 years, we were in Hollywood.
That's pretty funny. And you referenced, you traveled around the world and met your husband and fell in love. And I understand that he passed away at a young age. And I wanted to talk a little bit because you became CEO of Beatrice Foods, and had he started Beatrice Foods or you started it together? What's the story behind Beatrice Foods, which was a global company that you took from its beginnings to become a $1 billion organization?
Well, I think for the readers, it will not do justice to Mr. Lewis if I didn't start with how I met him. Because I was a lawyer. I was in the best university, College of Law in the Philippines. And of my classmates, men and women, but basically men, I was such a strong individual that I know I will not marry again. I will not marry. Why? Because I didn't want to be the person wearing the pants. I didn't want to be my husband. So if I'm going to be wearing the pants in the family, why marry? But when I met Mr. Lewis, he's African American. He had great dreams. His dream was to become the richest black man in America. I didn't know what then. Only when he died, his aunt told me. Why? Because being black in the United States, already you are considered inferior. You are not up to par. And so when he was 5 years old, 6 years old, with his grandpa and grandma talking about how all the good jobs and all the good homes go to white people. So when he came out of the bus with the towel around him, he asked, why should white guys have all the fun?
Right.
So from that time on, his aim was to be the best. And he was able to go to Harvard Law School without even applying. And he had a very successful law practice. By the time I met him, he was just an associate. He had the salary of a law associate at Paul Weiss. But when as started to get to know him, I said, wow, this person is somebody.
Right.
In fact, when we decided to get married, I had cold feet. And so we left. My sister and I left. But on the plane, I was so sad. I knew I will not meet somebody like him again. And so that's our life story. We got married in the Philippines and then started his career as a lawyer. But at the back of his mind, he's going to buy a company because his term paper at Harvard Law School, that's where he came from, was in order to get rich, you have to do merger and acquisition.
Before you go
all the trappings of success, a brownstone in Manhattan, a second home in East Hampton, a foreign Mercedes, 450 SL, but it was not enough.
How did he
buy TLC Beatrice?
Wait, Loida, I just want to say, Denise Young asked this question. I want you to answer it. Did you practice law at any point in time?
Yes. As soon as I passed the bar, I applied for a position with Immigration and Naturalization Service because there were 11 positions available. After waiting for 1 year, wow, they didn't take me. Why? I'm so good.
Right.
I'm equivalent to a Harvard graduate because I came from UP, the Harvard of the Philippines. I said, Harvard graduates will not apply here. They will apply in big law firms.
Right.
So why was I not taken? I think I've been discriminated against. And I filed a discrimination case against the government. And after 6 months, the INS, Immigration and now it's called ICE, but yes. INS, then Immigration and Naturalization Service, did not produce the biodata of those 11. And so the judge says, well, since you did not produce, let's look at her qualifications. She is valedictorian in high school, cum laude in college, in the top 10% of her graduating class at UP. She speaks 3 languages. So because they did not produce the qualifications of those 11, she has been discriminated against because of her national origin, Filipina, from the Philippines. Race, I'm brown. Gender, I'm a woman. Give her 3 years back pay because it took that long before.
Wow. So listen.
And so for 10 years, the question, did you practice law? For 10 years, I was with immigration. Practicing law in the sense that I was an attorney for the U.S. government at the Immigration and Naturalization Service.
So
now, Mr. Lewis bought Beatrice International. We moved to Paris, and that's when I stopped. 10 years of practicing law as a government lawyer. And I said, I have all this knowledge. I don't want to lose it. So I wrote the book.
Okay, so wait, we'll get to that. But Stella is saying, Stella and Sanchez, which goes back to the Spanish the Spanish influence in the Philippines. She said, I'm Filipino and very dark skinned. Do you think your fair complexion was an advantage in the United States? Great question.
No. It's not my complexion. It's my intelligence. It's my common sense. It's my decision that nothing can stop me if I want to get somewhere. And I know myself. I'm good. All right. So, it's not like I'm brown. I'm light brown. No, don't consider you are a child of God. What's her name?
So
you should be proud of who you are.
I
And,
agree.
set your goal.
So now this Morris says, did your family set the stage for your amazing resilience, rising to challenge after challenge? Great question.
Definitely. I grew up with my father whose father died when he was 12. And in the Philippines and many other countries, especially in Asia, you have a rich uncle, you send your eldest son. And that's what my grandmother did. His mother had 3 boys. My father was the eldest. And so he was sent to live with a rich uncle. And he saw how his rich uncle was very entrepreneurial, a movie house, a bowling alley, construction company, etc. So in his mind, I'm going to be like my uncle, but I want to be a lawyer first. And when he was successful, he did not finish law. He was a very successful businessman, furniture store, Nicolas Furniture or Nick Fur. Every evening when he comes from Manila to our province and we have a very luscious dinner, we will go to the balcony and look at all the town. And then he starts it. Now I call it brainwashing or transmission of values. So Morris, first thing that he would say, what are the 5 secrets of success? He doesn't want to wait. He doesn't wait for us to answer because we know the answer. He's been repeating it every weekend. Hard work. And then he will give an example of how hard he worked from being orphan or fatherless to having this very successful business. Common sense. And he will give an example where he used his common sense. Determination. He would give an example. And one of that example was that he was collecting lumber and it was passed, it will go to the river and the ship will take it on. There was a typhoon and the logs came loose. And what did he do? He jumped into the water. He could have been killed. But he took that, so that the logs would not get lost. Resourceful. Right. Number 4, perseverance, meaning you fail, try and try again.
Correct.
And number 5, faith in God, because with God, everything is possible. So here I am, of a certain age, and I still remember the values that my father gave me. So for all those listening, Morris, if you have children, give them the values that you have that made you who you are. Because in the end, it's not how much money you have, but what you have made of yourself.
I agree with you. And, I find myself, so I'm 72. And, I find myself the last 10 years or so really thinking about some of the things that my father taught me, which is about ethics, about being a good citizen, about understanding your community and your state and your country. And another thing was that I think is a very important strength of character that I tried to teach to my son, which was about asking questions. You learn by asking questions, and find the people that have more experience or knowledge that you want to ask the questions to. But I've always taught that to my son, that asking questions is not a weakness, it's a strength of character, because it shows that, okay, so maybe you don't know that thing or you know something about it, but you could always learn more from somebody else.
So Morris, you listen to what Phylis is saying, you raise the expectation of the son or daughter. I never heard from mama or papa, oh, that's stupid. Never a negative word. In fact, papa and mama is always saying, you can do anything you want. All right. Meaning to say, aim for the top and go after it hard, work hard. And so if a child from the time he was small is given that self-confidence, that self-esteem, you're good. You're good, if not better than, no, you're good as anybody else if you work hard and you have set your goal. So that's how my family, my father gave me that strength to, go for something. And you fail. So what if you fail? You can rise again. Tomorrow is another day.
Right. So interesting you say that, because my mother had a sign. She had written it out, and I think it was Henry David Thoreau, if I remember correctly. I could still see it in her handwriting, and it was, "In the long run, men hit only what they aim at. Therefore, though they should fail immediately, they had better aim at something high." And Lady Beatrice says, is that said, Beatrice? You are in your 80s. Is aging looked at the same in the United States as in the Philippines, which is the next area that I wanted to cover. And you and I talked about that. How does aging or respect for elders differ in the Philippines as opposed to the United States? And I know there is a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Huge,
We respect our lolo and lola, grandma and grandpa. They hold a certain elevated state, okay, for our grandma and grandpa. We call them lolo, lola. And one of that is that we are trained from the very start to make mano po, meaning sign of respect. You take their hand and you put it on your shoulder.
Correct. I've seen that many times.
On your forehead.
Right.
That's a sign of respect. So
I've seen that.
for older people, we are very respectful. And sadly, in the United States, the culture is youth. So it's not translated. And I'm trying very hard to teach my daughters, because my husband is African American, respect for elders is very strong. So both of us have the same values.
Right.
For my children, you don't answer back your mother. Okay?
Right.
And they, so they're punished. And so for my grandchildren, whenever they raise their voice against their mother or father, I tell them, you don't shout at your mother.
Right.
Don't shout at your father. You have to correct them, because if you don't say it, they don't hear it.
So interesting that you say that, because my experience is I have seen that with the hand, right? Taking an older person's hand and putting, but even not just like elders, and, I want to ask you about what do you consider an elder person, but even younger people, even in their 30s or 40s, if they address a person that's older, like let's say even 10 or 15 or 20 years older, they use the word ate, right? Always.
Ate means sister.
So
and
sister.
Older is tita, which is
Right.
auntie.
Right.
And very, very long, lolo, lola.
Right. I have never been in a situation with any Filipino who addressed an older, like a woman, especially, even like I say, if it's 10, 15, 20 years, it was always ate, whatever. So I'm certainly well aware of that. Now, Mel says, my mom taught me that when someone says no, it really means that you haven't given them enough information to say yes.
Well, people say no for many reasons. Maybe that's part of it, but it's really depends on you, Mel. All right, somebody says no to you, then either you have not done the work, or they think you are not capable of doing it, or it's not the time for you. So there are many reasons why people say no. But if you are intent on something that you deserve, or you go after it, eventually, even if they say no, you go another path.
Correct.
I don't know if I can explain it, but
no, but I agree with you. I learned, and I would just say in the last 5 or 7 years, that if you ask somebody something or for something, or you want to do something with someone, and that person says no, then they're just not the person. And it's not the right time, or it's not the right person. So that means you go on to something else or somebody else, because as they say, I don't know if you know this expression or how it translates into your language, when one door closes, another one opens, right? So
okay.
that's not the door to go through. There might be another one.
Okay, but in a way, Mel is right, because the person who says no, you can convince. All
True.
right? Mr. Lewis wanted to go to this Harvard summer program when he was a senior at Virginia State. but he was disqualified because they only want junior. So the faculty, the teacher who was in charge of it was saying no. But every day he was there with a new score on his math or a better score on his essay contest. He hounded that professor every day for a month. So in that sense, Mel is right.
Right.
The information he gave and the persistence in which he did it, finally said, all right, you can go.
Right.
That's how he was able to study at Harvard Law School without applying, because he was so good during that summer program that the Professor Sanders, Frank Sanders, said, Reg, you know, you impress us so well. If you want to enter Harvard Law School in September, you have a seat in the class of 68.
Oh my
That's when
goodness.
we are applying. So when he came there in September, they gave him the application form to fill up.
Oh my God, how fantastic. What a fantastic story. So, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, perseverance and resilience, and there was a question about, you know, your Filipino background and how that influenced some of what you did. But how do you think as a woman, especially as you took over this company after your husband passed away, what would you say your experience was, not only in the field of law, but in the corporate world, being a woman?
All right. Well, before those listening have a wrong idea, I was widowed after 19 days, meaning to say the biopsy said he had brain cancer, and December 31, and by January 19, he was dead.
Oh my
So
God.
it's not like, oh, now I'm taking over. I was a basket case. I was devastated. I was depressed. I couldn't see. I mean, I couldn't think. I couldn't see. So for all those who suffer such a trauma, you got to go with the nature. I cried. I bawled. I could not stop crying when something reminds me of my husband. So it's not that, oh, now I'll take over. No, 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 no. It's only after, and thank God I am Christian, I'm Catholic. In my heart, I did not question, why me, God? No. It's only that, Lord, help me, help me. You know, don't leave me orphan.
Right.
Indeed, you know, Isaiah saved me. A mother may forget the baby on her breast, but I will not forget you. Oh my God. You know, it's for me as a mother, to forget my baby, and if I forget, I will never forget you. So that's one. And the other one is, you know, the Psalms. The Psalms just helped me. Psalm 91. So that was my strength. So for all those who suffer trauma, yes, go with the flow, cry, bawl, you know, complain. But in the end, hold on to God, because he lifted me up, and that's how he walked. And
Okay.
so after 6 months, I said, what do I have here? I have my 2 daughters, because I sort of like abandoned them. I was just in tears. I will be mother and father to them. That means to say, I will be attentive as much as I can. And both of them graduated from Harvard.
Oh, wow.
Honors. All right. And now they're doing their own thing in finance. Leslie and Christina. Number 2, Mr. Lewis was writing his book about his life story. Why should white guys have all the fun? And for those who have not read it yet, and you have children who are boys in high school, in college, please buy it.
Yeah.
All right. How Reginald Lewis created a $1 billion business empire. I said, it's got to be done. And
Right.
so I hired Blair Walker, and he interviewed 150 people who knew my husband, because he never met my husband, and wrote this book. So 2, that's right, finishing the book. Number 3, he worked hard. He died of brain cancer. For me, thinking about how to get rich, buying this company, it cannot fail.
Right.
In 1993, when he died, a strong leader suddenly disappeared. Recession in Europe since World War II, the strong, and devaluation of the French franc and all the other businesses in Europe where we had our business. And number 4, it's going down. It was in the red. So, did I say, oh, I'll take over? Of course not. we hired, paid a lot of money for a headhunter. Give me candidates to be, so that we can interview it with my brother-in-law, because he was made vice chairman when Mr. Lewis was sick. He knew that he might die, so he had his brother has always been beside him, Gene Fugit. So he became chair. So the two of us were looking for the right CEO. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 CEOs we interviewed. All of them were not black, because at that time, 1993, you don't find black CEOs or CEOs. It's okay. Okay, it's a black company. It's 51 owned by the Lewis family. But when I asked all of them, asking a lot of money, will you make it successful? Each one of them said, I'll try my best. You'll try your best. Oh, you failed.
Right.
I will be defeated. So I said, I better take over. That's my decision. After prayer, it was very clear in my mind. In December, board of directors meeting, I'll take over. And so I asked Leslie. My eldest daughter was a member of the board then. She was 19 years old. And when I woke her up, December 22, 1993. Leslie, wake up. I'm going to take over. And he said, oh, Mom, what took you so long? So in her mind, I should have taken over earlier. But I had to be ready. And God gave me the risk. God gave me the strength.
So now Lake, who I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, says, I'm 60 and I'm in my third adventure as an online business owner. The internet was my choice because it doesn't know race, gender, or age unless you reveal it. So it is easier to be successful when you are instantly equal.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Leiku, Lalani, you are correct.
Right.
And before I turned 80 and somebody asked my age, Leilani, what do I say? Age is just a number and mine is unlisted.
Right. Oh, I've heard that before. So let me ask you a question, because I'm 72 and as you say, you're 80. How do you think your position in the company changed, or how people viewed you in the company or in the industry as you continued to, progress in age?
No, I didn't even think about it. It was necessary that the company be straightened up. All right. It's not, oh, I'm woman. Oh, I'm Filipina. No, there's a job to be done. The company has to succeed. So why will I think, what did you think of me? What am I? No, but I did know that I'm going to face as chair. And so I had a very good PR guy, Butch Maley. He's Filipino. My husband hired him when I recommended him. Anyway, he said, Loida, we have to reduce your Filipino accent. So he hired an accent, an expert on reducing accent. He is Sam Schwat. And he trains actors to have a Southern accent or to have a British accent. So for me to lessen my very Filipino accent. That's one. Secondly, he hired also someone who will teach me how to speak to a crowd. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I learned from her, first she got me to read my speech before my board of directors. And then he started critiquing. He said, first, you're reading the speech too much.
Right.
Read it over and over so that you almost memorize it. And, and when you say it, you look from the left to the middle to the right.
Right. That's speech training.
Right.
Speech
And also,
training.
before you go on stage or before you go on the microphone, give this mantra. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad you're here. I care about you. I know that I know.
I love that.
You're here. I care about you. I know that I know. To give you confidence. So when you go on the stage, smile.
Right.
And then don't read, as if you're reading it, you read and then look. Read and look. Read and
so
look.
I have a comment about what you first said, because I'm a speech pathologist by profession, and I do not believe in accent reduction at all. I do not believe in changing how people say the words that they say based on the production, based on the language that they spoke. But what I do believe in, because is having people speak in a way so that people can understand what's being said, rather than the person talking and they lose track of it and they say, what did the person say? So they're losing the message. So when I work with people like that, I work with, reducing your sentence lengths, speaking slower, using more pauses so that people can digest what's being said. But I actually don't believe in accent reduction, although I know people work with actors to, obviously, if they have a role and they have to sound like they're from the South or from wherever, that's a different matter. But so I think that's very interesting. Johnny Berry says, did you decide?
No, wait.
Oh, okay.
Action, I decided because I don't want people concentrating that I'm speaking with a very, very accent. I want them to listen to what I'm saying. And so rather than, I had to reduce my being so Filipino, all right, saying the instead of that. Small things like that. So that's my purpose. I want them to concentrate on what I'm saying rather than identifying how I mispronounce a word.
That I understand. And also it was a different probably point in time than it is now. That was years ago. So it's probably a little different now because there are people here from all over who have so many different accents and speak in different ways. And I don't want to say that it's accepted, but people understand that that's the case, and it might have been different back then. I'm thinking possibly.
Jenny has a question.
Yes. Did you decide to sell Beatrice Foods because of advancing age or simply market conditions or both? Great question.
I never decided anything because I'm getting old. No. I mean, in fact, in my mind, I'm not 80. I don't feel 80.
Correct.
So why did I have decided market conditions? Because when Mr. Lewis bought the company in 1987, the biggest part of the company was French supermarket business in Paris, Franprix and Leader Price. And he made an agreement that within 7 years from 1987 to plus 7, 1987 plus 7, what's that? 2000?
1987. What did you say? 1987.
He bought it in 1987.
1987.
He died in 1993.
1990. So that's 6
Before
years.
he died, he made an agreement with the supermarket that 5 years later, in 1997, I have a right to put and call, meaning to say we agreed that in 1997, I can buy them out because we were majority owner for a multiple of 13. And they can demand that we buy them out on a multiple of 15 of their profit.
Oh, okay.
So at that time, they have a business called Leader Price that's increasing in value because it was, the number of stores was growing fast from 5 or 10 stores like supermarket, like 7-Eleven. Everything in that store is called Leader Price. But you bite into the crackers, it tastes like Rick's crackers. You drink their cola, Leader Price cola, it tastes like Coca-Cola. But the price is 30, 40, 50% less than the branded name. So the supermarket, or I call it Leader Price stores, was like 10, 20, 30, 40. By the time it was close to put and call, we had 250 stores.
Oh,
and so
wow.
the value of the supermarket has gone up and up and up. And if we wait until the time that they can exercise the put and call, it will be a huge financial obligation.
Right.
So, Johnny, what did I do? Okay, we had to sell. Why? because 2 years before we sold, the French government decided we don't want Walmart. We don't want Aldi in Germany. We don't want another, supermarket chain in England. So they put up this law that from now on, any foreign supermarket cannot come in unless they do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very onerous. And at that time, the value of French supermarket flew to the roof, multiple of 33.
Oh, wow.
So we had this put and call of 13 and 15, multiple. But the market was buying stocks of supermarket at 33 multiple of net income. And so we sold the business.
So he says a multiple of 10 is seen as extraordinary, but 13 is unheard of.
No. If you go to the stock market, some of the very, very good stocks, multiple is like 27, 33. As I said, at that time, supermarket in the open market, you can buy shares, multiple of 33 of their net income.
Oh, wow.
And so what did I do? I sold the company on an auction, and Casino, which is a French supermarket, bought us for a multiple of 27.
Wow. So, you appear, you're vibrant, you're full of vigor, you're vivacious, you have a lot of energy and vitality. What do you think the important components and the ingredients of aging in a way that allows you to be this way at the age of 80? What would you say to people about that?
For, as I said, age is just a number. It's really what you think and what you feel. And of course, I took care of myself. I didn't just eat and grow 3,000 pounds. You have to have a self-value. I am a child of God. I am Filipina, first of all. My mother and father have expectations of me. My husband married me because of what I am. So, and then I became CEO. I didn't want to look awful. So I saw to it that I kept my weight, that I wear good clothes. You don't want people to be distracted. Oh, look at that. She's CEO. Look. You don't want that. You want to present a certain gravitas.
Right.
I am CEO of this $2 billion. By the way, from $1.5 billion revenue, I raised it to $2.2 billion revenue. But that's beside the point. Right. What I'm saying is that for those who ask the question, did you decide because you're growing old? Yes. You grow old in your mind.
Correct. Right. I agree with you 150%. It's how you feel about yourself and your age. It's the same thing that you said. So I'm 72. I have no reference to what that really means. The only thing that I could say that where I've seen, I'll say a change or a difference is, my outlook about certain things, my attitudes towards certain things. I think there's a different maturity or a different way of approaching certain things that I would have done maybe differently 10 or 20 years ago. And it's probably maybe a better approach now. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm more deliberate. I'm more careful than I was. But other than that, and I think that just comes with experience and a journey, but I don't identify that having to do with age is what I'm saying. But
well, for those who are listening, it's not like, I'm eternal youth. I have left hip hip replacement, my right hip replacement, my knee had a meniscus tear, I had my front teeth knocked out. Okay. And, but, you deal with it as it comes, you deal with it. And
I agree.
At least in America, there's very good insurance. If you work hard enough, you have good insurance. There's Medicaid, Medicare, which this president in the White House is trying to knock down.
Right. That's a whole other conversation.
For those who are listening, you take care of yourself.
I agree.
Why are you not walking? That's a very inexpensive form of exercise.
Correct.
Or you look at the internet. They're always there. If you are 50, 60, This is the exercise for your knees. The internet has everything. Ask it. Ask the question. It will come up.
And I think something a couple of things, you and I have talked about, it's mindset. It's a positive mindset. It's about gratitude. And I wanted to ask you, because we're coming to the end, about what led you to write your book, which we have a graphic of it. Why should guys have all the fun?
Can you show it, please?
Yes, I want to see the cover of the book.
But first, the very first book was when I quit INS. How to Get a Green Card. It's still available on Amazon.com.
Oh, okay.
How to Get a Green Card. Yeah, I'm not actively doing it. Okay, and then after after talking about Mr. Lewis' book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? I said, I have a story to tell. So after 30 years, I said, why should guys have all the fun? An Asian American story of love, because I did fall in love. Marriage, because after saying no to him 3 times, we did get married. Motherhood, because I have 2 girls, while Mr. Lewis was climbing the corporate ladder and running $1 billion business empire, because I did run $1 billion business empire.
So, I wanted you to maybe address some takeaways from the book that I found. Oh, wait. Eloise says, we have biased expressions about aging. Please tell me you don't look your age. I answer, what age should I look? And I want to address that, because I say the very same thing when people say, oh, you don't look 72. I say, well, what am I supposed to look like at 72? But that has to do with the preconceived notion that we have, especially in this country, of what an older person is. And that is somebody who's frail and hunched over and wrinkly and dependent and needs help. And that's what my mission is, to try and change that view that we have about older people, especially as people are living longer. And there are more people like you, like me, who are vibrant and energetic and have full of life. And so that's part of my mission. So I want
for those who ask me, oh, you don't look your age. Thank you. Thank you. Big gratitude is the best.
I agree. Gratitude is very important. Yeah. So these are the some takeaways that I found from your book, and I was hoping you could just address them briefly. Women can be effective leaders without emulating the negative behaviors often exhibited by powerful men. When setting your life's goals, be flexible. Try always to be full of joy and gratitude, as you just said. Listen to your body, and everything will be all right in the end. So can you just talk about those 5 takeaways briefly?
Well, what's the first one is?
That women can be effective leaders without emulating the negative behaviors often exhibited by powerful men.
Yes. All I'm saying is that you don't have to say, MF or FUCK or SHK. Okay. If you know where you're going and you have a sense of who are with you, well, first of all, that's the first thing I did. Those that was not in sync with me, and because we were, losing money, I reduced the corporate staff by 50%. I gave very generous pay to all the executives, and I just kept 3. My taxman, because I don't know anything about tax. My COO, meaning to say he knew Beatrice even before my husband, Dennis Jones, my husband, bought it, and my PR, Butch Maley. All right, so I kept them, but everybody else had to go, including the 4 secretaries that Mr. Lewis had. But I didn't just let them go. I called up Paul Weiss, law firm. I said, do you need, I have 4 very, very good executive assistants or typists or secretaries. At that time in 1993, they are called secretaries.
Yes, they were.
So they accepted, they found a job. In other words, when you have to dismiss people, see to it that they're not dismissed, like nothing.
Right.
Talk to them, see to it that they're walking with their head held high, give a good, generous separation pay, because it should be profit with honor.
I love that. And yeah, I would say, if you have to dismiss them, but don't be dismissive of them as a person. I think that's what you're saying.
Just
Treat them with dignity
like
and
the
respect.
man in the White House sending it by text.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
First, your humanity.
Right, exactly.
Always keep your humanity, please.
Right.
What's
And
the
so
second one?
the second one was when setting your life's goals, be flexible.
Well, it happened to me. I was never going to get married. I was going to politics because my father had set up Loida Theater when I was 7 in our province, so that when I'm ready to run for public office, I already have name recognition. But I met Reginald Lewis. Surrender.
Right. I love that. But he asked you, but you said he had to ask you 3 times. So you didn't surrender right away.
Of course. First of all, I came from a very conservative family. And so when he was getting very, very audacious, I said, no, goodbye. I won't never see you again.
So I have a question about that. Wait, I have a question about that because I'm Caucasian and my ex-husband was from Jamaica. So he was Black, right? I know that in certain cultures, I know my own, and I was married in 1977, if I remember correctly. In certain cultures, it's frowned upon to marry somebody outside of the culture. Like in the Indian culture, it's like that. And what about the Philippines? Right.
We were 350 years under Spanish rule. So
Right.
if you're fair, you're good. If you're dark, no good. So we have this colonial mentality about, color.
Right.
So your question is, how did I fall in love? Because we were raised by mama and papa, especially papa, who never said, oh, don't go with that, they are poor. Don't go with that, oh, she's pretty because she's white. Never heard it.
Right.
And besides, I am Christian. We are all God's children. So we are equal. It's not the accident of your skin.
Right.
But yes. And besides, as I said, it's not like, oh, he's Black. He was better than me in all respect.
Right.
As you can see, I am type A. He's triple A.
Right. So interestingly enough,
he's more ambitious. So I surrender.
So
I said no to him 3 times. And the last time is when I said, I can't marry you. I'm going back to the Philippines. And then he did. My sister and I flew back. We went to California, Stanford, because our classmates were there. And during that entire time, I was so sad that I will never see him again. And I know in my heart, I'll not meet anybody like him again. And so when my friend said, Jerry Hill, Loida, if you're that sad, just give him a call. Never thought of it. Dial. Darling, I'm coming back.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. So my father used to say, don't judge a book by its cover. So it's a similar concept, right? Every person is a person. Don't judge them by their outward appearance, no matter what that is. And I've grown up with that my entire life. So that's been my approach.
Good lesson.
Yeah.
Good lesson.
So the other one is try to always be full of joy and gratitude. And we could see that about you for sure. And you said,
yes. And for those listening, when you wake up, it's not like, oh, another day. Find joy.
Right.
Find joy. If your work doesn't make you joyful, stay on it, but look for another job. Or if you cannot find another job, you stay on it and find joy in the little things.
Right. Oprah Winfrey used to say, one of the things she credits her success to is that when her gratitude journal, and when she woke up in the morning, writing in her gratitude journal about what she was grateful for. And, because I come from this medical care space, I've repeated this story many times. There was a gentleman several years ago. I was working in a long-term care facility, and it also had a subacute unit. And this gentleman came up to the desk where I was, and I don't remember if he was a patient or if he was visiting someone. And I asked him how he was, and he said, great. And I wasn't feeling so great that day. So I said, oh, I want to be like you. Some funny kind of comment. And I said, so why do you feel great? And it's what he said that day that I remember 20 years later, and I do, when you think about what you're grateful for, he said, because I'm looking at the grass from the top down instead of the bottom up. So if it's even just that you woke up this morning, you can see the sun shining or whatever the weather is outside, that's certainly better than the alternative.
Yes, you walk the street, listen to the birds, they're chirping.
Right. Correct.
In the spring, it's out. The flowers are out. In the winter, well, even if it's muddy, it brings, the snow brings water. I mean, you can always find.
Correct.
If you look for beauty, you will find it.
Correct.
If you look for ugliness, for discrimination, for racism, you will find it.
So now Mel said, when I told my mom I was going on a date, she always asked me if the girl was Jewish. When I brought home my first Black Ethiopian Jewish woman after that, my mom only asked if she was white. It's all relative. So it's so funny. So I'm going to say something about that because like I said, my ex-husband was from Jamaica. He was Black. But the interesting thing about it was his mother's mother was Jewish. So in reality, in the Jewish religion, it's passed down from the mother, and we were married by a rabbi. So, I mean, there are all different ways of looking at it. What was really important, right?
Okay, for those who are listening, use your head, but follow your heart.
Yes, I love that. So then you said, listen to your body and everything will be all right in the end. Those were the last two takeaways from the book.
Yes, I love that, especially that listen to your body well. That's obvious, okay?
Right.
If you are not feeling good, there's something. Don't say, oh, it's nothing. Go to the doctor because you're not a doctor. You don't know. So that's what I mean by listening to your body. But the last one is somebody told this to me because I was on the plane going in. I was late. It's 10 minutes late. Okay, so I was looking at my watch and the woman behind me said, oh, don't worry. Everything will be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end. I said, that's beautiful. And she told the story that she was also on the plane. The door shut on her face. She was late. It was full. And what happened to that plane? It crashed in Albany. The other time she was going and her friend said, why are you going in the morning? Move it in the afternoon. Here in New York, she was going to Albany. And what happened? That was the plane that landed on the Hudson. With
Jay.
So she said, when something goes wrong, or don't say, oh, that's bad luck. No, because if it didn't happen, it was not meant to happen to you. In the end, it will be all right. Everything will be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end.
So it's interesting. I kind of needed to hear that today. I won't say why, but I really needed that. It was very helpful. So, Lloyd, it was such an absolute pleasure having you as a guest on Senior Nation. And thanks for sharing your journey, your candor, your transparency, your insights, both in business and personally, provide valuable insights at every stage of life. And like I said, I just learned something from what you just said at the end. And I hope listeners and viewers had valuable takeaways for their own lives. And I just want to say, for fans of memoirs and autobiographies, I highly recommend your book, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? It allows us to understand how business works, as well as how this industry treats women, especially those of different colors and backgrounds, the challenges of running $1 billion company while raising children, and the wonderful love story between you and your husband is particularly poignant. So thanks so much, Loida. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Phylis. And to everybody, God bless you all.
Thank you. So please join me on July 30th to hear my conversation with my next guest, Michael Goldstein, a doctor of ophthalmology and an attorney. His vast experience and ability to simply explain the issues we all face in the medical arena, both in understanding reimbursement, approvals, and the challenges faced by both patients and their doctors. You won't want to miss my conversation with him. So remember to tune in, comment, and ask questions on July 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Source TV radio network. And until then, take care, stay well, and stay tuned.
for it. I'm just saying I'm not finished yet. Search for it, swing for it, discover the me that lives in yes. Stand for it, stretch for it. It's my time, imagine my best. Run for it, reach for it, uncover the me that lives in yes. I know, yes I know, there'll be miracles